Hey, welcome. Today we are tackling a really big question. How do you move beyond just memorizing facts to really understand something? It's the difference between cramming for a test and actually knowing something for life. And we're going to break down exactly how it works.
All right, so here's how we're going to break it all down. We'll start with the absolute fundamentals, the basic rules for how our brains even absorb information. Then we'll dive into the two major paths you can take when you're learning anything. We're calling them the surface and the deep approach. And finally, we'll wrap up by looking at why this choice, your approach, matters so much.
Okay, let's be real, we've all been here, right? You pull an all-nighter, cramming for a big test, you pass it, and then the next day, it's all gone. Vanished. So frustrating. Well, that feeling, that's the perfect example of what we call surface learning. And today, we're going to figure out how to do better.
All right, so first things first. Before we can even talk about different styles of learning, we got to get down to the basics, the fundamental mechanics. You could almost think of them like the laws of physics, but for your brain. So, learning science tells us there are three things that absolutely have to happen for you to learn anything. First up is something called contiguity. Sounds complicated, but it's not. It just means the thing you're learning and your reaction to it have to happen pretty close together in time. Second, no surprise here, is practice. Yep, good old repetition. It's what makes those new connections in your brain actually stick. But this third one, reinforcement, now this is the real game changer. This is what actually strengthens what you've learned and makes it last.
And that brings us to a super important point. Reinforcement isn't just a nice to have, it's essential. Without it, learning just doesn't happen effectively. And you know one of the most powerful forms of reinforcement out there? It's feedback. Yep, just getting information that tells you how you're doing. Are you on the right track? Do you need to change things up? That's what turns just trying hard into actual progress.
And, feedback isn't just one thing. It could be immediate, like when you do an online quiz and get the score right away. Or it can be delayed, like getting comments back on a paper. Or it can come at the very end of a whole learning session. But the main takeaway here is this. Getting feedback, really any kind of feedback, makes learning so much more efficient. It's a huge boost.
Okay, so now that we've got those fundamentals down, let's get to the real heart of this. Pretty much every time you start to learn something new, you're standing at a fork in the road, and you have a choice to make. You can take the surface path, or you can take the deep path.
And this slide just lays it out so perfectly. On one side, you have surface learning. The goal there, it's all about reproduction, just being able to spit back the information you were given with minimal effort. But on the other side, you've got deep learning. And the goal there is totally different. It's about understanding the meaning behind the material.
All right, let's take a walk down that first path, the surface approach. This approach is really all about one thing, doing just enough to pass. It's about meeting some external goal, whether that's getting a passing grade or just ticking a box for a certification. It's the path of least resistance.
And when you look at the reasons why people take this approach, a lot of these probably sound pretty familiar, right? Maybe you're only in a class because you have to be, just for that certification. Or maybe life is just insane and you have way too much on your plate, not enough time. Sometimes people just think that's what school is, just memorizing a bunch of facts. But look at that last point. This is a big one. This approach, it's often tied to high anxiety.
Okay, so now let's switch gears and check out the other path. You'll see pretty quickly how it creates a totally different experience. The deep approach, well, it's not really driven by outside pressure. It's fired up by an internal drive, a genuine desire to really understand. Just look at the difference here. This path is all about genuine curiosity. You're committed to your own goals, not just someone else's. You're managing your time effectively. And a lot of the time, it comes from having positive learning experiences in the past, so you're feeling confident. See, this isn't about just squeaking by. It's about aiming for mastery.
Okay, so we've got two completely different mindsets, right? And they lead to two completely different ways of studying. But what's the end result? Why does this choice make such a massive difference in what you actually get out of the whole experience?
This table really breaks it all down beautifully. So, a deep learner, they're actively digging for meaning. They're trying to connect the new stuff to things they already know. They're asking, how does this apply to my real life? The surface learner, though, they're just relying on rote memorization. They see each fact as a separate little island, totally disconnected from everything else. And they're laser focused on one thing, what's going to be on the test. They're playing two totally different games.
And this, right here,
this is the bottom line. The surface path, it gets you rote memorization that fades fast. And, as we saw, it often comes with a whole lot more anxiety. But the deep path, that leads to real, true understanding that you can actually use. You feel more satisfied, and you know what? You usually end up performing better too. It's like you don't just learn the material, you make it a part of who you are.
So, at the end of the day, yeah, circumstances can definitely push us one way or the other, but a lot of the time, we still have a choice. So the next time you have to learn something new, just ask yourself this one question. Am I here to just repeat this information, or am I here to actually understand it? Because that answer, it's going to shape your entire experience. Thanks for tuning in.